the most so-called ordinary of perceptions, the littlest details in your visual field, are saturated with absolute significance and extraordinariness and beauty. It's easy to hear that, though, and then start trying to find some other perception that's extraordinary and significant and beautiful. And that's not the way to go about it, actually. Because what happens is when we're looking for something else, we have a tendency to miss what's here, right? Because we're looking towards some fantasized future perception. It's not here. There is no future. There's never a future. It doesn't exist. There's this immediacy. And this is where all the power is. This is where everything that we've heard about, and read about as the extraordinary nature of reality that we somehow feel as if or imagine that we're missing, is right here in this perception, not some other perception. Exactly what you're seeing in exactly the way that you're seeing it right now. The context, the detailed context of our experiential field all of it is absolute reality. Every single little, tiny little detail. It's all wondrous. Every single bit of it is wondrous. So you can do that right now in the visual field. And the beauty of this is it doesn't matter where you look, because the entire field is wondrous. Every single tiny little detail in the visual field is absolute wonder, absolute mystery, absolute beauty, just the way that it is. And what's remarkable about this too, and maybe it's one of the reasons that this can get overlooked, is that a lot of what's occurring in the noise of the context, in other words, all the details, seemingly insignificant, kind of mundane details that we're not paying attention to. Like you're walking along the street and you've got some narrative going on in your head. I was walking to a coffee shop. I was having my car worked on, and I'm walking to the coffee shop. It was maybe a half mile away, and to wait there and have a tea. And there's a kind of central storyline of that thing, which is I'm walking from one place to another. I have a destination. I'm going to the coffee shop, right? So that's like a part of the narrative. And then there might be other narratives going on. I might be thinking about something, wondering about something, fantasizing about something, worrying about something, could be anything, a kind of internal narrative. And then that can become another sort of dominant narrative. But what about all the stuff going on all around me? What about the glint of light on the sidewalk? What about that tiny little weed growing up out of the grass? What about that little bird in the tree that just flew off? What about the way the light is glimmering off the branches in the tree? What about the particular cloud formations? I mean, what is the significance of all of those things? Well, they're infinitely, absolutely significant, each one of them. They're all equally significant. You can consider that as not as a statement of fact, but just entertain it, if you will, if you want, as a hypothesis. But look right now in your visual field. And so much of what you're seeing doesn't really fit neatly into a narrative. Like the particular way, the shape of the candle on the table there. I mean, what significance? Who cares what the shape of the candle is? It's irrelevant, right? But is it? No, it's shaped exactly like that. I don't have to change my perception to make it a more special shape. It's that shape. And it is a shape like none other. The shadow that the candle is casting on the table I don't have to make that more special. I can just look at it just as it is, see it, just see it as it is. And there's absolutely no words for it. There's no words for any of it. I mean, it's actually a fun game, but it's also a powerful, illuminating, transformative game to play with your consciousness. I mean, I'm looking at I mean, this may sound silly, but so be it. I'm like looking at the cord coming out of my computer and the shape of the cord. And it's absolutely exquisite, the shape of the cord coming out of my computer. It's just the cord coming out of my computer. Who cares about it? Who gives a shit about it? It's irrelevant, right? It doesn't mean anything. But it means everything because it is absolute reality, like everything else is. Isn't that amazing? Everywhere you look, you see this. You don't see anything but it. You don't see anything. You can't see anything but absolute reality. That's all we're ever seeing. It's all we're ever hearing. But again, you don't need to look for something else. Just see what you're seeing. Wherever your eyes land upon, just let them land there and notice what's there. Whatever your ears happen upon, just let them hear what's there. Just as it is. It doesn't have to be different. It can't be different. It's perfect, just as it is. The shape of it, the texture of it, the color of it, the wonder of it. It's just sort of occurring to me now, just seeing it as it is, in a sense, allows, right? Language is so difficult. It's as if it allows the aliveness that it is to come alive to us. Because we're not overlooking it. We're not just skipping past it onto the next thing or looking for something that's more exciting, right? More phantasmic. It's like falling into the well of your normalcy, like your normal so-called perception. The wonder of it. Absolute wonder of what's here. So you can play with this with all of the senses, just like the visual field, as I was saying. It's anywhere the eyes land upon, any little, and it can be the tiniest little detail. There's an envelope sitting on my desk here that, I guess I opened it and then I wrote a bunch of notes on it, on the envelope, and it's like the way that the envelope is torn is beautiful. I mean, how much more insignificant do you want to get than the way the envelope was torn? I mean, how meaningless is that, right? But no, it's torn that way, just that way. But it's that part of us that's just a well-worn habit of like looking for something more special. And yet our normal so-called everyday, seemingly mundane and insignificant perceptions are anything but mundane and insignificant and meaningless. I'm speaking now about, sort of, you could say kind of perceptions of the external world via the senses. But the same exploration can be applied to what we might call the internal world of what's being perceived in terms of thoughts, feelings, sensations that feel to us at some level as more internal to us. Of course, that dividing line between internal and external is arbitrary, because the sounds that I'm hearing outside, or are they inside, or is that a meaningless dichotomy or division? Yes, it's meaningless. But in the same way that you can look at the little tear of paper or the little piece of junk on the side of the road or the flower growing or anything in that way, just look at it just as it is and allow yourself to sort of fall into the exactly what's here. We could do the same thing with every thought. Is an absolute wonder. The texture of the thought, the shape of the thought, the energy of the thought, the fact of its existence, any emotion that's perceived. Again, all of it is completely wondrous. This kind of exercise is yet another way, and I talk about different ways, to cut through the hierarchy that our descriptive frameworks tend to create. This is better than that. This is different from that. This is more enlightened than that, and on and on and on, right? That's the hierarchy of description. This is more meaningful than that. This is more valuable than that. This is more relevant than that. It's fine. I mean, it's fine to operate from within that frame of reference, but it is not the only one available to us. There is this other frame of reference, which is in a sense beyond all frames of reference, because it's not really making distinctions of better or worse. This kind of way of perceiving the wonder of even the seemingly insignificant details of our lives is a way of transcending the supposed hierarchy of experience. And realizing it truly is all made of one inconceivable, mysterious stuff, all of it. All of it is equal in its vibrancy, equal in its aliveness, equal in its existence, isn't it? Equal in its beingness. This is true of all that we're perceiving, either so-called exterior to us or interior to us, and also true of the perceiving faculty itself, we could say, if we want to make a distinction between what's perceived and the perceiving faculty, call it awareness or consciousness. I mean, feel awareness, feel this ability to know, the capacity of knowing what's here. Feel that, the knowing. Isn't it wondrous? Just as it is. Just as it is. However you're feeling it is perfect. There's not a better way to feel it or experience your awareness. The exact way you're encountering it, let that be it, because it is it. It's how reality, you could say, is perceiving itself through whatever you think of as yourself. Very difficult to speak about this. Impossible to speak about this. And that's, as I was saying at the outset, our search for something special is what creates the hierarchy and the illusion of not special, the illusion of insignificance, right? Otherwise, why are we looking for something more special? Because we've, in a sense, already determined what this is, this perception. This isn't quite it, right? Otherwise, why are you looking for anything? Isn't that interesting? Why are you looking for anything other than this? There isn't anything other than this. What else could there be? I mean, there's no answer to the why question of why the wind is moving those limbs of the tree right now in just that particular way. There's no answer to the why of that. But that's how it's moving. And because it's moving that way, it's like, that's its movement. That's its, I'm sorry, it's so difficult to put into words. It's like if you imagine the whole of your experiential field as an orchestra playing the song of life, every single instrument, to carry the metaphor out, is part of the whole, isn't it? It's all the orchestra. So just out of the corner of my eye, a leaf just fell off the tree in this particular way, just kind of cascaded down. Like that was as important as the words that I'm speaking right now. I mean, there's no difference. That's the sutra. That's the sermon, the way that leaf fell. The little dogs yapping in the background, cars honking. All of it is a song of divinity, of the divinity. All of it is the divinity. I teach one of my classes on wonder. One class is part of a larger class and I talk about how it is that little children seem to live in this state of kind of constant awe and wonder. And I think a big reason for that is that everything is new to them. Everything is interesting to them in a sense, because they haven't encountered it before, right? So it's all wondrous. It's like, oh, everything. What is that? And this is exactly our state, actually, right now. Like, you've never encountered this. You've never seen the light like this before, ever. It's never looked like this. You've never felt what you're feeling right now, ever. The particular shape of it, no, it's never been shaped just like this. The sounds, the particular sounds you're hearing, you've never heard them before. Oh yeah, I've heard cars before and dogs barking and wind rustling in the trees, but never in this particular composition, the sounds together dancing in this particular way. Never, ever. And isn't that wondrous? I mean, what else is wondrous? There's no end to the enjoyment of this. When we begin to open up to the wonder of every single tiny little, seemingly insignificant, mundane detail that's here right now.